Hi everybody. Since everything's all set up, I'm going to just roll right into the zigzag end sheet, and then that'll be that. So for the zigzag, as I said in the first video, the zigzag is a single color end sheet. In other words, there's not an easy way to add a decorative fly. You could always do a decorative paste down, obviously, since that's on the other side of the joint. But what you need is, again, everything's bigger than the text block significantly. 2 identical folios, leather for your joint. Now, this is a piece of leather that I had that had already been skived very thin. The thickness of the joint can be tricky. It needs to be paired. The leather needs to be pared thin enough so that it will go nicely up over the edge of the board, but again, not so thin that it loses a lot of strength. And also, what I do is I kind of plan everything around the infill on the inside of the boards, which sounds really backwards, but works for me. This will probably need to be thinner than what I would normally infill with, which is 2-ply board. This is already too thin, but then I can put another piece of cardstock underneath that will bring it up to the right level, which would be the level of the turn-ins, which are also, again, the thickness of the infill. So anyway, that's very confusing, and I apologize. This is just a piece of really thin leather, and I grabbed it because it's easy. I don't have to thickness pair it. But you do have to edge pair one side, one long side. So okay, getting ahead of myself. So there are my 2 folios, my joint. You also need, 2 pieces of cardstock, one of which is the same thickness as the leather. The other is just, cardstock, cover weight. These are going to protect the text block from from getting an impression off the edge of the leather when the book is pressed. So these are essentially disposable pieces. And lastly, a waste sheet. And the one thing that you need to understand about waste sheets in this context is because the waste sheet is wrapped and tipped into the end paper section, it will remain in the book once it's all done. So even though it's a waste sheet, technically, it has to, the quality of the paper of this protective sheet has to be as good as the rest of the material. Now, if you're using handmade paper for your end sheets, you don't need to use handmade paper for the waste sheet, but you do need to use something that's high quality and preferably acid neutral or acid free. Hahnemühle is my go-to for all this stuff. So these are all the pieces you need to make one end sheet. So I'll put these guys aside. First, I'm going to edge pair my leather, which is a hand process. You figured out already. That's a pretty, that'll do. And you don't need much. Just enough so that it's going to disappear in the gusset that's created when you make the zigzag. This will make sense in a little while, I hope. That's all you need. Like I say, doesn't need to be much, but it does need to be done. So, first step after that, so that makes it the second step, you're going to take your 2 pieces, your 2 folios, all right? And as you may have seen in the previous video, that's crooked. There we go. I'm going to hang these 2 guys off the edge of my paring stone. Take a strip. And you can see these are, or maybe you can't, I don't know. These are maybe 2 millimeters wide. Again, it needs to be wide enough, but not too wide, which is a terrible non-explanation, but there you go. You'll know if it's, come on, Mort, keep going. if it's too narrow, because it won't stick to itself. And if it's too wide, it'll look clumsy. And if the cat gets in the way, you'll just have to brush the hairs out. Okay, so there's my tip. Always throw your waste paper away immediately. Move this up, flip this over, come back. You're going to overlap the glue lines, like so. A little too generous with the glue. One advantage, in the last video we talked about glue and paste in this context. One advantage of paste is it is cleaner than PVA, so if it oozes out a little bit, it won't be quite as noticeable, which it shouldn't do anyway, but there you go. So again, this guy's going to go between boards. Give it a minute. And now I'm speechless. Excuse me. All right. See if this is going to work. Now, this is one of the tricky parts. All right. So I have my section. I have this left folio is on top. And there we go. This is where we have to. I can't stop this because I would have to start over. So be patient. All right. So as I said, you see that? Yeah. All right. Left one's on top of the right one. I'm going to come in with my straight edge. And I'm going to crease right along the fold. Okay, so I can use the fold as I did before. So line up, crease, just the top leaf. Work it up against the straight edge. And bring it over. Okay, there's step one of creating the gusset. All right, now come back again. Crease. I'm going to bring this up just to initiate the fold. And then you're going to flip it over. Boop. Well, that tip's not straight. Hey. And I'm just going to fold it back on itself. And by doing this, you create the zigzag or the gusset or whatever you want to call it. So this sheet, if I pull it up, see that? All right. Now, in the old texts, they'll generally say that the reason you do this is so that it has a little bit of give to it when the book opens up, and it will open easily and kind of, you know, be good for the book in the long run. The problem is, of course, that when you glue the book up, you glue this closed. And so there you go. However, it gives us a nice hiding place for the leather joint, which is much more useful. So, oops, no, I'm doing this wrong. So now the trick is you have to apply your adhesive to the good side of the joint. So you have to be careful. So I'm going to put a couple of pieces of tape here. Do that. I could hang this over the edge, but I need to make sure it's straight, and it's better. It'll be easier for you guys to see what's going on. All right. Okay, so this is all we're talking about. You know, this is a little teeny tip. Oops, I just moved the phone with my head. Sorry. Come on, Mort, move. It's a busy morning here. There. Okay. Throw it away. Don't do this. This is a do as I say, not as I do exercise. Don't glue right on where you're going to be putting your nice clean end sheet. So anyway, so this goes in here, just up to the crease. You don't want to bring it, you don't want to put it over the crease. You just want to come up to the crease where the gusset is. And again, because it's leather, you can kind of tweak it as you go. Better to use your fingers here. If you try and hit this with the folder now, it's just going to go awry. There we go. So, there you go. All right, so this is an object lesson. This is what happens if you get the glue too far in on the joint. So don't do this. But you can see that's a nice, that's a nice finished edge there. Just kind of what we look for is a nice finished edge rather than a raw edge for this kind of stuff. All right, so there's that. So this is kind of really the guts of the section. So I'm going to fold this back like that. Okay, now it starts to make sense. Next, I'm going to, excuse me, tip my waste sheet, which is also going to go in here, which is another reason to pare off your leather. So let me, and the waste sheet needs to be wide enough so it can wrap around and come all the way out to the foredge of the end paper section. So the rule of thumb is make everything too big and trim it afterwards. All right. This goes right over here. Okay. Now at this point, once this is dry, or if you're in a hurry and you're impatient before it's dry, or you're making a video, come back to the fold again with your straight edge. Crease both of these. And then pull this around. Okay. Okay, it's coming loose here, but that's not unexpected. We'll pretend we're going to make a little teeny end paper. Okay. But this is And this is why you don't rush. All right, never mind. Again, you see the process. That's the important thing. And you can make as many of these mistakes on your own as you need to. All right, so this is actually almost done. All we need to do now this is a slightly thicker piece of cardstock that's about the same thickness, as my my leather joint. Oh, it's been a long time since I've done these. Here we go. This is the lighter cardstock. This just goes in here, and you want to take a little bit of PVA because this is going to be at the end of the process. This has to go away. Just take and put a couple of dots of PVA on the joint. This is why you want to make your joint too wide too. I should have said that. The joint has to be cut too wide so that it can be trimmed. All right, so the lighter sheet goes all the way into the fold and is adhered to the dots of glue on the joint, on the edge of the joint. And then the thicker piece that compensates for the thickness of the leather, you're just going to take and put, come on, go. Thank you. Two dots of PVA. And just butt that up against the joint and let it dry. And there is your completed zigzag end paper section. Now I'm going to give this just a couple of seconds to dry, and I'll show you where the where it's sewn through here, which is through one of the folios, but not the other one. So you've got the joint. We have the joint, leaf. This is the center. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay, like I say, it's been a while. When you sew, you actually have to pull the gusset out a little bit, and so you sew through here. So it's here, which is actually the center of this zigzag on this side, or this folio on this side. So let me grab my pen. Again, you are going just to the inside of the fold. This is not a very symmetric sewing system. But again, kettle stitch. So this has to be pulled out. Because you don't want to pierce that. See the dots? You can actually angle it back toward the fold if you want. I don't know if that actually helps or not, but sometimes I do that because it feels right. All right, so that shouldn't show through there, which it doesn't. That's not good. But it does show through there. Now this is a rough example, but I'm doing it before everything's dry. But this is how you construct the classic zigzag end paper. So you got waste sheet, leather joint, 4 fly leaves sewn through here. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. There wasn't anything else I don't think I need to say. So again, any questions, comments? I'm grateful for all. I'm grateful for everybody who has come to see this stuff. And I will be back with something else at some point, probably fairly soon. Alrighty, take care.